There comes a point in every twin flame connection when love is no longer just about longing or desire, but about growth, deep, soul stirring, transformative growth. It's in this sacred space that the runner phase emerges. To many, it feels like a collapse of everything once beautiful. The intensity that once felt like destiny now feels like distance, silence, or rejection. You wonder how someone who mirrored your soul so perfectly could suddenly turn away. But beneath the pain lies a profound truth. The twin flame runner doesn't run to destroy the love, but to test its strength, its purity, and its alignment with divine truth. The twin flame journey is unlike any human relationship. It's a mirror that reflects your light and your shadow with equal honesty. The connection goes beyond physical attraction or emotional attachment. It challenges your very sense of self. When your twin flame runs, it is not an act of cruelty or betrayal. It is the soul's way of forcing both of you to shed illusions, fears, and old patterns that are incompatible with the higher love you are meant to embody. The runner phase tests your faith, patience, and your ability to love without control. It teaches you that love is not possession, but freedom. You are being invited to release attachment and step into unconditional love, the kind that asks for nothing in return, yet transforms everything it touches. Through these tests, the universe shapes you into a vessel of divine love, strong yet soft, surrendered yet aware, human yet luminous. Each test may feel like heartbreak, but it's also initiation. The runner's distance becomes your mirror, guiding you deeper into your own soul. Let's explore the ways the twin flame runner tests your love, not as punishment, but as purification. Each test holds a lesson, one that brings you closer to your authentic self and to the true reunion your souls have always been destined for. 1. The test of patience. When time feels like an enemy. When the twin flame runner withdraws, the first thing that collapses is your sense of timing. You may have believed everything was flowing perfectly. The connection was intense, synchronicities appeared everywhere, and you felt certain that destiny was unfolding. Then suddenly, communication stops, emotions shift, and you find yourself waiting. It's in this waiting that your patience, or lack of it, becomes the soul's classroom. The universe uses the runner's absence to teach you how to detach from the illusion of control. You can't rush divine timing. You can't force spiritual readiness. The runner pulls away because something within them, or within you, still needs healing. But instead of seeing it as rejection, you're called to see it as divine orchestration. Patience in the twin flame journey isn't passive, it's an active, conscious surrender. It means learning to rest in the unknown without losing faith. It means holding love steady, not by chasing or demanding, but by trusting that what is meant for you can never truly be lost. The runner tests how deeply you can trust the process, whether you can love beyond time and outcome. In moments of silence, the mind races with fear. What if they never come back? What if I imagined it all? These thoughts are natural, but they're also illusions that pull you from your higher knowing. Patience asks you to quiet the noise and return to your inner stillness. It's there that you'll sense the truth, that the connection remains, even when communication doesn't. During this phase, nurture your own growth. Return to practices that center you: meditation, journaling, time in nature. These aren't just coping tools. They're ways to strengthen your connection to your higher self. When you shift focus from waiting for your twin to becoming your best self, time transforms from an enemy into a sacred ally. Eventually, patience blooms into wisdom. You realize that love was never about timing. It was about trust. And the runner's absence, though painful, becomes the space where you learn how to love without conditions or guarantees. That is where divine love begins to root. The test of faith, when doubt clouds your vision. The next great test comes when your faith is shaken. The runner's silence may make you question everything: the connection, the signs, even your sanity. It's easy to believe when things are harmonious. It's much harder when nothing makes sense. This is where your soul is refined through faith. Faith in the twin flame journey isn't blind optimism. It's the quiet knowing that even in chaos, there's divine order. The runner's disappearance forces you to look beyond appearances and trust the unseen. You may not receive signs every day. You may not feel their energy as strongly as before. You might even feel forgotten. But faith whispers, love still exists here. something greater is unfolding. The twin flame journey is not about believing in your connection only when it's convenient. It's about holding your truth even when the physical evidence seems to vanish. The runner tests whether you can stand in that truth without external reassurance. It's an invitation to strengthen your spiritual vision, to see beyond form and feel the essence. The mind craves logic, but the soul thrives on trust. This is where faith becomes the bridge between confusion and peace. When doubt arises, remind yourself that separation is an illusion, a temporary veil the universe uses to align both souls with divine timing. Every silence, every delay, every seeming setback serves a higher purpose. Strengthening faith means learning to live from your heart instead of your fear. It means returning again and again to inner knowing that this connection was divinely guided, and it continues to evolve even when you can't see how. Faith transforms pain into perspective. It reminds you that love doesn't disappear. It changes form to teach you what attachment cannot. In moments of despair, speak gently to yourself. Reaffirm your connection to the divine. Visualize your twin not as absent, but as walking their own sacred path toward healing. Faith doesn't deny reality. It transforms how you hold it. And as your faith strengthens, you become the steady light your twin unconsciously seeks, the unwavering flame that calls them home. 3. The test of self-worth, when rejection awakens old wounds. One of the deepest wounds triggered by the runner's distance is the feeling of rejection. It's not just about losing a relationship. It's about feeling unworthy of the one soul who seemed to see you completely. This pain is intense because it touches every layer of your being. Yet this is precisely why the test of self-worth is so transformative. The runner doesn't reject you because you are unworthy. They pull away because the connection reflects their own wounds and fears. But the experience activates your old patterns: abandonment, self-doubt, insecurity. These emotions rise to the surface not to torment you, but to be healed. The test of self-worth asks, can you still love yourself even when your twin cannot show up for you? Can you see your value as whole, regardless of their choices? Can you separate your sense of worth from their behavior? True love begins with self-love. When you stop chasing validation from your twin and begin nurturing your own heart, you break free from the illusion that your worth depends on their return. This doesn't mean closing off or pretending you don't care. It means shifting your energy from proving your worth to embodying it. Healing self-worth takes time. It requires unlearning the stories that told you love must be earned or fought for. You may need to face the parts of yourself that still crave approval, that still fear abandonment. Sit with these feelings gently. Honor them. They are fragments of your younger self asking to be seen and embraced. The runner's absence teaches you that you are already whole. Their silence forces you to turn inward, to find the love you've been seeking within yourself. This realization changes everything. You begin to see that the connection was never meant to complete you, but to awaken you. When you stand in your self-worth, the energy between you shifts. Your twin feels it, even from afar. In truth, the runner doesn't test whether you love them enough. They test whether you love yourself enough to stay rooted in your light when they withdraw. And once you master this, you stop waiting to be chosen, because you already know you are. 4. The test of detachment. When love demands freedom, few tests are as challenging as learning to let go while still loving deeply. The twin flame runner's retreat often triggers a wave of attachment, the desire to fix, to reach out, to hold on. It's a natural response from the human heart. Yet spiritually, it's a lesson in one of love's highest forms: detachment. Detachment doesn't mean indifference. It means allowing love to breathe, evolve, and find its way back naturally. It's recognizing that true love cannot be possessed. The runner tests how willing you are to release control, to love without conditions, without demanding proximity or validation. When you cling too tightly, you create energetic resistance. Love begins to feel heavy instead of sacred. The runner, sensing this pressure unconsciously, pulls even further away. But when you loosen your grip and surrender to divine flow, you create space for healing on both sides. Detachment asks you to trust that separation is part of the connection's evolution. It's in the distance that both souls rediscover independence and clarity. Sometimes the only way for love to deepen is for both to walk their separate paths for a while. During this test, you may be tempted to interpret silence as indifference, but detachment invites you to see it differently, as a sacred pause. This is your time to reclaim yourself, to nurture your passions, to realign with your purpose. Love expands when you stop making it your entire identity. The more you focus on your inner journey, the more magnetic your energy becomes. The runner is not blind to this shift. When you detach with love, not bitterness, your energy transforms. You move from need to peace, from chasing to allowing. This quiet strength speaks louder than any message you could send. The lesson of detachment is simple, yet profound. Love does not demand, it allows. And when you master this, you discover that letting go isn't losing. It's trusting that what's real will always find its way back. 5. The test of unconditional love, when you're asked to love without expectation. Perhaps the most sacred of all tests is learning to love unconditionally. The twin flame journey begins with passion and intensity, but it matures into compassion and surrender. When the runner distances themselves, you are asked to love them without needing them to behave a certain way, to love them even in their fear. Unconditional love is the purest reflection of divine energy. It sees beyond ego and judgment. It understands that your twin's running is not a rejection of you, but a reflection of their own unhealed pain. To love unconditionally means you choose understanding over resentment, forgiveness over bitterness. This does not mean tolerating unhealthy behavior or losing your boundaries. It means holding love in your heart without turning it into anger when things don't unfold as expected. It's the ability to see your twin's soul, even when their actions are confusing. Unconditional love doesn't need reciprocation to exist. It doesn't rely on texts, visits, or promises. It simply is. This love becomes your power, your light. When you reach this level, you stop trying to prove your love and start embodying it. You become love itself. The runner's absence teaches you this by contrast. Through the pain of separation, you learn what love truly means. Not attachment, not control, not validation, but divine acceptance. You begin to feel compassion, even for their avoidance, because you understand the fear they're battling. Loving unconditionally does not weaken you, it frees you. You're no longer a prisoner of expectation. You no longer measure your worth through someone else's choices. You've evolved into the kind of love that uplifts rather than confines. And often, this is the very moment your twin begins to feel the energetic pull of your transformation. Unconditional love has a frequency that cannot be ignored. It silently heals, reconciles, and calls both souls back to balance. So, while it may seem that the runner tests how long you can wait, what they're truly testing is how deeply you can love. Without fear, without need, without condition. 6. The test of surrender. When you finally let the divine take over. After you've walked through patience, faith, self-worth, detachment, and unconditional love, you arrive at the final and most profound test, surrender. This is the point where you release everything. Your timelines, your expectations, your idea of how reunion should happen. You give it all to the divine. Surrender doesn't mean giving up. It means giving in to the higher plan that's always been guiding you. It's the deep knowing that the universe knows what it's doing, even when you don't. The runner's distance becomes the catalyst that leads you into this sacred trust. At first, surrender feels terrifying. You fear that if you stop holding on, you'll lose them forever. But surrender reveals a paradox. It's only when you truly let go that you begin to feel peace. You stop fighting against what is and start flowing with it. This phase teaches you to live from your soul instead of your wounds. You no longer chase, you align. You no longer beg for signs, you become the sign, living proof of divine love in human form. Surrender softens the pain of separation because you no longer resist it. You understand that everything unfolding, even the silence, is purposeful. The beauty of surrender is that it shifts the energy of the entire connection. When you stop trying to control, the energy between you becomes balanced again. The runner begins to feel the release energetically, and this often triggers their awakening. In surrender, you realize that union was never just a physical event. It's a state of being. It begins when you are one with yourself, your mind, heart, and soul in harmony. When you reach this inner union, outer union becomes inevitable. This final test is the most sacred because it asks you to give up everything you thought you knew about love and trust that what's real will always return. It's the moment when human love evolves into divine love, and the pain transforms into purpose. By the time you've endured the runner's tests, you are no longer the same person you were when the journey began. You've learned that love isn't just about union, it's about evolution. The runner's distance has purified your intentions, stripped away illusions, and shown you the depth of your own strength. Each test, patience, faith, self-worth, detachment, unconditional love, and surrender, has sculpted your soul into a vessel of divine wisdom. You've learned that the purpose of the twin flame connection is not to fill a void, but to awaken you to your wholeness. The runner didn't test your love to break you, but to reveal the truth of it. They showed you the difference between attachment and devotion, between desire and divine union. You've been tested so you could remember what love really is, not a longing for completion, but a recognition of your eternal connection to Source. And as you rise from the lessons, something miraculous happens. The energy between you shifts, the chase dissolves, the fear fades, you begin to radiate peace, the very vibration that draws your twin back in divine timing. Because what you embody, you attract. The journey may have been painful, but it was never meaningless. Every tear, every silence, every heartbreak was a step toward awakening. The runner's tests were never about proving your love to them. They were about proving your love to yourself. When you reach this place of peace, you no longer ask when union will happen. You already know it exists, within you, and therefore always around you. You've become the love you were seeking. And that, more than anything, is the true purpose of every test the twin flame runner ever gave you.